Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted chats with some of the most interesting culinary voices in the American South. This region is one of the country's vacation and retirement playgrounds. But beyond the warm weather and beautiful scenery, there's a rich culture steeped in community and often dark and complicated history, and plenty of innovation among the tradition. I'm Stephanie Burt, and I've spent a career covering this region for magazines, newspapers, and websites. And to me, the best introduction to the American South is through its food culture and the growers and makers who make it delicious. I invite you to come on the road with me from the Appalachian Mountains to the clear waters of the Gulf of Mexico and everywhere in between. I'm always hungry for that next bite, thirsty for the next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. Well, before we start today's interview, I want to make sure and share with you something that I've been working on in the background for a long time, but something that through a lot of hard work, through me and a lot of other people, has come to life in this off season. And that is a completely new way to experience the Southern Fork, because there is a new experience division of the Southern Fork. I am inviting people to see the South through fresh eyes and full stomachs with immersive culinary travel and immersive culinary events. Now, there's definitely going to be some pop-ups happening in the next few months around different areas in the South. And right now, I really want to focus on the Southern Fork experience, which is a multi-day culinary immersive itinerary where you get to travel with me. Now, I bet you can guess where that first location is going to be. That's right, Charleston, my beloved city. It's been a seat of Southern culture for close to 500 years, but it's really hard to define it. And so I'd like for you to start at the table with me. Now, this is a small group travel. All of the Lowcountry storytellers, the Charleston culinary professionals have been featured previously on the Southern Fork podcast. So I am going to be your host for this multi-day trip, and we are going to really dig in to the Lowcountry cuisine, from gathering oysters in the Folly River to private dinners with James London of Chubby Fish or Jill Mathias of Chez New. Pitmaster Marvin Ross is going to be making a whole hog just for us. And we're going to have bourbon tastings. We're going to learn about rice. It's going to be a lot of eating, a lot of fun, and a lot of understanding the context of Charleston and Lowcountry foodways. And this has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, as I've said, because I feel like food is an access point to something bigger than what's just on the plate. The best travel aims to get out of your head and into the senses. And this is going to be a sensory experience. I'm going to be with you all along the way. So if you're interested in reserving your spot, you can go to thesouthernfork.com/travel. That's thesouthernfork.com/travel. And You can learn more information. You can email me directly if you have specific questions, or you can go ahead and purchase and reserve your spot. There are only 16 spots. It takes place in October, and you're not going to want to miss the beautiful weather that Charleston has in October. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for supporting me all along this journey to get to this point. And remember, that's thesouthernfork.com/travel. Now, on to the show. Chef Nikko Cagalanan was born and raised in the Philippines. After immigrating to the States in 2011 and working as a nurse, he found himself inspired to pursue cooking with a desire to share his passion for Filipino food. He moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 2018 and began Mansuetas, a series of pop-ups in the city and then the region that helped him hone his craft, his culinary point of view, and build his community. And he's never looked back. His restaurant, Kultura, opened in 2022 and was promptly named Best Filipino Restaurant in South Carolina by Food & Wine magazine. Then he won on Food Network's Chopped. Next, Kultura was named one of Eater's best new restaurants in America. And earlier this week, Nikko was named a finalist for Emerging Chef by the James Beard Foundation. So, I'm far from the only person who thinks that his cooking is a special combination of skill, consistency, and a quality that is infinitely welcoming and delicious. He's very clear about the foundation of his work, community, and it shines through in everything, from chef collaborations and local sourcing to occasional impromptu signalongs in the restaurant if a Beyonce song comes on the sound system. Welcome to the Southern Fork.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be here with you today and really introduce season 9 with a great conversation that I know is going to be a great conversation with you today. First, I just have to be real. Y'all, I need to apologize to you. I know you've texted me 173 times over the years about the pop-ups.
Yeah.
And, pop-ups are so exciting for us today. I think it's the next iteration of food trucks.
I agree.
But I'd had a bite here and there, but I really hadn't experienced the full Nikko menu until here, Kultura.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about your passion as a chef, your self-taught chef, to actually put the work in to do these pop-ups, to get to this point, creating a buzz, creating some capital, to get to an opening on Spring Street?
Yeah. It's a very long journey from 2019 since I started the pop-up Mansueta's Filipino Food. It's hard. It's a lot of work, and it's just like keeping it and being consistent about your goal. There's a lot of downside to it. Like every pop-up, you'll get busy one day, and then the following day you'll get like 0. Everybody knows that, and everybody had that experience. And for me, just having the idea of like representing Filipino food in Charleston, that just keeps me like going every day, up until now with our little restaurant here at Kultura. But yeah, back in 2019, nobody heard of Filipino food back then. And I was just...
Now it's kind of hot.
Yeah.
You're at the right point at the right time, aren't you?
Yeah. Back when we met in... Like, personally, I met you at Common Thread in Savannah.
Yeah.
That's the first time I met you.
That was really... Yeah, that was 21.
21. Oh, my God.
That was 21. And I was like, why are you here?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? And then I was like, why are you here?
Yeah.
But that's kind of the nomadic life of a pop-up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think people that are in a creative life, they understand the 10,000 hours thing, right? Can you give me an instance of a firefly, one of those moments that kept you going, that kind of like said, All right, I won't quit today.
Yeah. So one of my good friend now, Vince, he's Filipino, and he used to work for some restaurant downtown. And he messaged me on Instagram. This is back in 2020, when we were still at workshop before the shutdown. And he was like, I never heard of anyone doing Filipino food in Charleston. And would you let me work for you? And that starts from like one stage, which is like the getting to work for somebody for free. So I let him stage with us, and he fell in love with what I'm doing, with what we're doing. That gave me like strength to like keep going. Having this Filipino guy come to the restaurant, ask for to like work with me. I didn't know that that's gonna bring so many people to me, like Filipino especially, that wants to talk about Filipino food, wants to work with me, and just share about like Filipino culture in general. And that gives me like fire. Just keep going. It happens multiple times now. Like Filipino folks would come to the restaurant, ask if they can work here, or just like a little storytelling when I go to their table and they tell me about stories of dishes that their grandmother makes and that I'm making here right now, that it reminds them of cooking in their house. And it just like keeps me going. It gives me like butterfly in my stomach, and
Yeah.
in a good way.
And that's really being yourself
Yeah.
and then attracting your community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that does give you power when you need it.
Yeah.
Because I think in America, I don't know, I can't speak so much outside of it. I'm pretty entrenched in American culture, but I feel like we've been taught that we have to be able to go it alone. Like we can't ask for anything.
Yeah.
At least for me, I feel like if somebody says, well, how did you get that job? Well, you're not supposed to know anyone. You're supposed to just message somebody that you don't know on LinkedIn and magically get it. Somehow it's not as good if you happen to know somebody. I think that's a misnomer, right?
Yeah.
And in food, it's about that connection.
Yeah. It's sad when that's your like the mentality that you like grew up. I think it's just with my experience, I literally can't do it by myself. I need people to like help me make my life easier. Paula, my partner, she does makes my life easier, especially in the business side. And then my sous chef Joel makes my life so easy with the back of the house side. It's like you can't do it alone, like literally.
Yeah, and there is a joyfulness about eating here. I mean, the food is joyful. There's sometimes Fruit Loops in the cocktails. There's Sunday karaoke. There's some caviar at brunch.
Yeah.
There's also just really laid back dishes. It just depends. It's what you really want to cook.
Yeah.
How did you know that cooking could give you that joy?
I think just growing up back in the Philippines, when Lola, my grandmother Mansueta, she literally cooks 3 times a day and go to the market 3 times a day before she cooks everything. She would go breakfast, go to the market, lunch, go to the market, dinner, same thing. And just watching that kind of effort and like care and love making food for the family, that like molds into me. Now that back when I was young, I was like, I don't get it. Why do you go to the market like every day?
Yeah, just hit the Costco.
Yeah. Now I do. It's great. Yeah, and now that I'm in this career, because before I was a nurse, and now that I'm in this career, every time I go back to the Philippines, I would do the same exact thing what my grandmother would do. Wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock, go to the market, same thing, lunch and dinner. It's like the freshest of the ingredients. That I think that's why she goes. Also, like, there's not a lot of refrigeration in the Philippines, so that's why we go to the market a lot. Every time we cook, we go to the market.
Here in Charleston, we really focus on those ingredients a lot. And I mean, that's Southern Fork 101 right there for me. What are some of the ingredients that you've really enjoyed incorporating into Filipino cuisine? Because in your version, which is now your own particular place, because as a creative, you're now influenced by all of these things, right?
Yeah. Big one, Marvin Peculiar Pig Farm. He's been a big part of my menu, my evolving menu since workshop. Yeah, we've been working together. His products is just great. Pork belly, everything. Like our Kamayan dinner tomorrow for Charleston Wine and Food, we're doing whole hog, lechon, which is the best roasted pig.
That is the suckling pig, right?
Yeah, suckling pig. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
turn away, vegetarians.
Yeah,
you don't want to know any more than that.
His product is great. He's a genuine guy, really nice guy. I get to know his family. I get to know everyone in his farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a couple of dinner with him, Marvin, and BJ Dennis, which is one of the people that helps me when I was starting out doing my pop-up. Like gave me advice, gave me the name of people to talk to. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like you can't do it alone. You gotta ask for like help if you need help.
You're such an expert at the pop-up, and I think we're in a serious space where you have this restaurant, and I want to just mention it's just been named by Eater as one of the best restaurants in America, and of course, congrats on that. I know that that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And people have heard that in the intro, but we're at this moment where pop-ups are still one of the hottest ways to really hone your food and stuff. Some chef is listening out there. Can you give them a couple good points, serious chef to chef points about how to be a good guest in the kitchen when you're doing a pop-up? Because you want to be asked back, right?
Yeah. There's so much. So when I was 2019, 2020, when I was still like doing like focusing on the pop-ups, it was a lot of like mistakes that I learned so much, especially with making menu. And you go to this wine bar or restaurant that doesn't have a kitchen, and you make a menu before you see the kitchen. That's already like failed. So when I do a pop-up, I literally go to the restaurant, look at the kitchen, and create a menu out of that kitchen that they have. Now it's like trying to make our life easy when we do pop-ups. Make your menu easier. Don't complicate it. And just, have fun.
I don't think you're listening to your own advice, though, dude.
I know. I'm still like, my kitchen is a pop-up kitchen right now.
I know. And that was, my segue for that. I mean, I remember I brought a bunch of people in. It happened to be the night that half of the food writers in the South seemed to be in the house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of us.
I remember that night. Yeah.
You were like, what is happening? I'm sure you were. But I mean, it was just a gorgeous night. And I had a couple of great...
Erin was here, I think, that night.
Erin was here. Stephanie Barna was here. It's not all the food writers in the South. It just happened to be like old home week for me. And I was like, I love everyone. But it was gorgeous. And we ate most of the menu. And I just forgot that you're cooking on an induction burner.
Yeah, induction burner, a pot of boiling water, and an office oven. It's crazy.
Is that a Breville?
No.
Breville.
I wish.
Breville, you should call me a Nikko.
Please sponsor us.
So it's basically a toaster oven, is what you're saying.
It's basically,
yeah. It's a little bit bigger, but
a little bigger.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, we're still in a pop-up kitchen. And we're trying to make it work.
When you're designing for this kitchen, you're editing your menu, but you're also creating really edited dishes. There's a high knowledge base there. There's a high aesthetic there that I think you need to hear because from your side, you're like, I'm just cooking it on this thing. Is there a dish that you have on the menu right now that touches all three of those stations? The boiling water, the induction burner, and the office oven?
Yeah, we have the sisig carbonara right now. Basically, the noodle touches the pot of boiling water and the pan for the induction, and then the pork belly touches the oven. So all of that, that one dish will touch all the part of our three little kitchen.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best dish in the menu right now.
And then you have a drink program that is very fun and festive, and it's very democratic here. There's a bunch of different people. It's not like it's very laid back, but you're very serious about the food. Can you talk about that lightning in a bottle of the atmosphere that you've created?
Yeah, I mean, I think just from doing pop-ups, I don't want to be serious. Not like I'm serious about the food, but like when you're here, I want it to be fun, listening to like Rihanna, Britney Spears, and Lady Gaga, and then have fun with the cocktails, have fun with the food too. Just having that environment in the dining room and in the kitchen too. There is no asshole in the team. Like everyone's so nice. Like we still have the same opening team right now as when we opened day one. We're just growing right now. We just added a couple more people. It's getting busier and busier. Yeah, we're just trying to have fun in the dining room.
Do you have plans to get a stove? Or are you cool with where it is?
Right now we're in the negotiation mode right now with the landlord, but we'll see what happens. I think we're gonna keep it simple as what we're doing right now.
So, did you dream about a restaurant? You quit nursing.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think, I want to quit my day job.
Oh my God. Yeah, I heard so many stories about that. Please don't quit your day job. Yeah. So back in 2012, 2015, I was still working in a nursing home back in Massachusetts. And what made me switch is just the curiosity of like how I didn't know how to fry eggs back then. And I just wanted to learn more. And when I moved here to the States, I started missing Filipino food. So I wanted to learn how to recreate my grandmother's dishes. And so I started watching YouTube, reading cookbooks. And it was easier for me to recreate a lot of dishes because like I grew up eating it 3 times a day. And when I was like testing out recipe, I know what to add. I know what not to do. And then it was just
you
like...
had a lot of family members in your head with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. My aunt, especially my grandmother. My dad is also like a great cook. His sinigang soup, which is like the sour soup of the Philippines, that's my favorite. Yeah, when I was still in Massachusetts, that's when I started kind of like questioning myself which direction I'm gonna stay, like nursing side or the culinary. I was doing 7 to 3 nursing home and 3 to 11 restaurant for almost a year. And I was like, I quit the next day, like, all right, I'm going all in. I'm going cooking all in. And yeah, I think it works out.
I think it's working out.
Yeah. It's great.
It seems like you're having a little bit of fun.
I am.
Yeah. I know you're working hard and I know you're tired and all of those things too. It does seem like you're enjoying it.
100%. Okay. I love it. I think it's just having the right pieces to this restaurant, like all the staff, my sous chef, my partner. I think that makes it easier for me to like go here every day and like go all in. Like I'm literally here every service, like brunch and dinner for Saturday, Sunday. My sous chef usually kick me out like around 9 o'clock and let me leave early, which is nice. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you had to get by an engagement ring with all that extra time you had.
I know.
So I have to ask, you've done so much working around an unconventional situation. You don't have a liquor license, so you're
No.
working around making cocktails with wine-based spirits and working in a place on Spring Street that this is a tiny
The
slice
floods.
and the floods. What is making you hungry? What is next? I'm really interested because you're kind of good at thinking and going for it.
Yeah, I think just me and my partner has this idea of Kultura back a year and a half ago, and we just wanted to like bring a different cuisine in Charleston, and also like try to bring different chef from across the country, and we just want to have more diversity here in Charleston. And we're kind of like starting it right now with our collaborative dinner. We just started one with Carlos from Peru, and then we're gonna have another one next month with Luis Martinez from Oaxaca. And I think just having the idea of like having more diverse food here in the South, I think it's the new thing it's going the right way, the right direction.
Yeah.
With everyone doing it, like the pop-up chefs is trying to do their own thing, trying to focus on their culture, like hone on their skills. That's how I started too. It's like I love working for other people, but I'd rather work on my own food and my own skills.
Yeah. I like the idea of where we are. I mean, I've been covering Charleston food for a long time now.
Yeah.
And, there was a shift and a lot of the people were retiring. Places like Hominy were closing and we were nervous. I was nervous. Then it started to bubble up and I'm really excited about eating in Charleston right now. And your work is part of that. I mean, it's definitely, you're part of like that culinary community. And I can see you've used the pop-up through the years to kind of build a community, so you can talk to other chefs and ask questions. And
it's great.
They can check out with you on things. And
it's great because like back like 3 years ago when Pink Belly started, Kwai Fei, and those individuals started that pop-up thing, and we're just trying to continue like all of that stuff. Just talking to them, like literally when my sous chef kicked me out around 9 o'clock, I would literally drive to beautiful South to like grab like a quick dinner with David and Tina, and it's great. We get to look back and talk about that aspect. Like they're the one who gave me the first shot of like.
Yeah, was that at the Daily?
A Kwai Fei when I took over the Kwai Fei for a week. They helped me so much. They're awesome, and that's what we're trying to do here in at Kultura too. It's like having the up and coming chefs that's trying to do their pop up. They can go here and do that here too. Just trying to give back to the community.
Yeah. What is one aspect of this job as chef that really meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your natural personality?
Damn. That's so deep. I think just trying to share knowledge that I know to the back of the house and to the front of the house. Don't be greedy of what you know, and like just spread that knowledge. I think it will be easier for you because you're teaching them, so they can take over that information and they can do all the stuff for you. Share the knowledge and just teaching part of this aspect. This restaurant business.
And you also have to teach your diners, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
you're educating diners. I think we are still in the space of everybody a lot of people coming to Charleston and expecting a certain kind of cuisine.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of education there and it can get wearying.
Yeah. I love it when people ask me about a dish, and especially Filipino, the first generation, they would tell me about how they make this dish and how I make that dish. It's like totally different, but it's the best part about sharing those stories. It's like Philippines has like 7,000 islands. it's not even like per island, it's per household. There's a different recipe to every dish.
Mm-hmm.
And when they tell me about how they make their adobo, and they add like a different souring agent instead of vinegar, and they add mango or like star fruit, it's funny. It's like
Yeah.
it reminds me of like how it is in the island.
What is one thing keeping you up at night?
Um,
I know it changes all the time.
yeah, probably like after leaving the restaurant and I get home, I sat in the couch and maybe forgetting to turn off the oven. Good thing our oven has like a timer set. That happens multiple times. Paula, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right. We all have those things, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad there's a timer in that oven. Oh my God.
Yeah. I think that goes back to something deeper though for all of us. I mean, we all joke about it because it's a universal thing, you know? It's responsibility.
Yeah.
And you have responsibility of this space and this kitchen and this building, and that's kind of heavy.
Yeah. It's
sometimes it means you got to look at the camera and go like,
oh my
is
God.
the light, is 100%. That on? Is that light on?
Yeah. And then I get here the next morning, it's like 450 degrees in the oven, and the timer was like 0. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, Jesus.
The timer is off.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here and we're recording. So people just suddenly are very interested, but you have done the very Charleston thing and put your menu on the outside door. And we've watched a steady stream of people come by and check it out.
Yeah, it's great. It's Paula's idea, and it works so much. Like people would stop by. Maybe 50% of the time they would walk in. 50% of the time they'll just keep going. But the thought of like them reading it and having to know that there's a Filipino restaurant right here.
Yeah.
And they would either plan in the future to go here or not, but they know that we're here. It's a great idea to have that box in there.
Now, I am so grateful to be able to welcome you to the Southern Fork family of guests. And there's 350 of them now.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of work to do when I build these magic picnic baskets, but it is something that I reserve just for Southern Fork guests, and that is this question of a magic picnic basket. It is my version of a death row meal, as I like to say. I used to ask that, and it would really kind of get stuck in my throat because eventually I realized I need to express that I don't believe in the death penalty. And so I don't want to ask you about foods, the last food that you would eat.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about some foods that bring you life. And so in this basket, I can time travel. I can go back and ask anybody to make one more bite of some specific dish that you want to try again. I can source for you.
Yeah.
And I can cook a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, more pimento cheese and pound cake, but I'm happy to provide whatever you need in there. We can go beverages. It doesn't have to be a perfect picnic. It's just some of the things that come to mind when I ask this question. So what can I put in the basket for you today?
I think I would go for a Jollibee spaghetti. Yeah. It's the best restaurant chain in the Philippines, and it beats McDonald's in the Philippines.
Explain, what is this?
Jollibee spaghetti is it's spaghetti, but it's sweet. It has banana ketchup. It has some brown sugar added to it. It has some hot dogs. It has some ground pork. It's great. It's like sweet and tangy at the same time. On the side, there's like a Jollibee fried chicken. So when I go home to the Philippines, it's my first and last meal when I go home to the Philippines. I hit that Jollibee airport in the Philippines. That's what I order. A Jollibee spaghetti and a fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And what do you drink with it?
Pineapple juice.
Love.
I know.
Just an extra sweetness.
Yeah. It's weird, but it's the best. It reminds me of home.
Yeah.
It's very nostalgic for me.
Well, I will put a quadruple order in there. I have no doubt that you can probably finish it.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Well, if people want to learn more about Kultura and its wonderful place on Spring Street in Charleston, South Carolina, you know where to go. You can go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have images there as well as links so you can learn a little bit more through the website. If you like what you hear, I'm going to tell you that, of course, there's 350 episodes, but more importantly than that, just as I tell you the places that I love to eat and visit and what I like to order and the people that I like to spend time with in the kitchen, I would love it if you would share this episode if you enjoy it so that more people can know about Nikko and the great food he's making out of an office oven. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking time today when I know it is a crazy week for both of us.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Finally. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Until next time.
Yes.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations. But in the meantime, I have one question. Are you going to eat all that?